So, folks, there is a trend that I'm seeing at various places like the New York Times and the Washington Post, which is that as they grow more conservative, as they have more conservative writers come along and take over their opinion sections, as they, begin to, shift these publications not just from being bystanders, but to being actively complicit and active arms of the fascist government we are currently under, you're going to see more and more pieces that make you blindingly angry, okay? And one that I saw last week was this one from the New York Times. I'm a conservative. My disabled son needs Medicaid to live. And I just have to say, this enraged me beyond all belief, right? Because what are you doing? What are you doing? If you are reliant on Medicaid for your son to live, why are you voting for the guy who's pledging to kill Medicaid and to kill your son by extension? What is wrong with you? Yeah, you literally voted for this entire endeavor. It is truly bonkers. Truly bonkers. And I did want to throw this out there, okay? That one of the things that really made me upset, right, is one of the things that this article does, just right off the bat here, okay? You scroll down and you see, by Rachel Roth Aldizer. Mrs. Aldizer wrote from North Carolina. Her profoundly disabled 4-year-old son is a Medicaid recipient. And that's what we get. Now, I'm just going to scroll down here. Oh, wait. Rachel Roth Aldizer is a visiting fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center. Huh. Oh, you mean that she's not just like your average Republican mom? She's actually like someone who works for a Republican think tank. Her job is to actually go out there and write conservative propaganda and policy and hand it off to conservative lawmakers. And that is hidden all the way down at the bottom of this article. Not, at the top where one might say, disclose that, but at the bottom. All the way at the bottom, underneath, more on Medicaid. So that's all very interesting, right? And it got me thinking, hey, what's going on with some of the other things that she's written, right? So I went to her website because she has one, Writes from North Carolina, her reporting and opinion on disability policy, abortion legislation, and assisted reproductive technologies has featured in the New York Times, Wall Street Journal, National Review, First Things, and elsewhere. She's a visiting fellow at the Ethics and Public Policy Center. And, okay, what are some of her bylines here? I'm a conservative. My disabled son needs Medicaid to live. Okay. The abortion lobby endangers pregnant women. Okay. The case against the abortion pill. Pharmacists should not prescribe mifepristone. She also published over here on the website World, sound journalism grounded in facts and biblical truth. From last year, Medicaid is a blessing and a curse. Government assistance can be a godsend for families with disabled children, but the system is deeply flawed. That's so interesting. Let's continue looking at this real quick. Okay, my family lives in North Carolina, where nearly 1 in 4 residents receive Medicaid. 2022, Carolina spent $18.6 billion on the program. Approximately 75% was reimbursed by the federal government. Enrollments only continue to grow. As a lifelong conservative, I'll admit I've harbored suspicion for families that rely on government assistance to make ends meet. But 3 years ago, my family's needs changed forever. And it's just like, this is insane, right? Because the entire thrust, and I'm gonna spoil this a little bit. The entire thrust of this article is basically, but you guys see, I have this reason, I need Medicaid for this reason, and this reason, and this reason, and this reason. My little boy is so disabled. He's so disabled. He has so many needs. My needs for Medicaid are incredibly valid. I need to stay home and take care of him all the time. I can't do anything else, so I also need the Medicaid to live. And it's a full-time job. But everyone else who needs Medicaid, well, I'm suspicious that they're all lying for the sweet Medicaid dollars. Yeah, it is literally, I'm the only valid one, but everyone else, ho ho ho. Okay? And I'm not even kidding here, okay? So, this paragraph about David's medical problems. This one, yeah. Caring for David is a challenge that takes a village. In 3 years, my husband and I haven't spent a night away from him, so he requires round-the-clock care. And, yep, maxed out my family's healthcare savings plan, emptied our liquid savings, and led us reaching our healthcare deductible in North Carolina. Families over the Medicaid income limit can access life-changing medical care, including therapies, medical supplies, and even more, at reduced or no cost for their profoundly disabled children through a specialized program. Okay, yep. And just, so many different policies. The cost for caring for disabled people at home can be cost prohibitive, and a lack of adequate housing for disabled people often strains folks in hospital beds. But I'm a lifelong proud conservative. Yeah, there's just no dealing with the fact that these two things cannot coexist. Your proposal, your political stance on these issues is for those people to be even more fucked in the hospital beds, to have even less coverage, to have even less ability to house themselves. Yet the Medicaid system is deeply flawed. Private companies now manage my Medicaid cases in North Carolina. LMEs and MCOs, local management entities, and managed care organizations are third-party companies that are contracted to administer Medicaid caseloads, one per county. These organizations lack adequate accountability structures and fail to be transparent with taxpayers and Medicaid recipients, as multiple lawsuits demonstrate. Taxpayer money pads executive pockets. Which, okay, who made that happen? Exactly. Which political party made it a private endeavor to get healthcare insurance? I wonder. Who did that? The issue I have with this, and it's so upsetting. It's just so upsetting for this woman to be simultaneously being yes, here are all the problems. Here are all the problems with Medicaid. There are people taking advantage of this system, and they are these third-party, companies who are stepping in and mismanaging funds and, ripping off people who receive Medicaid dollars. And yeah, that is a big problem, but the people enabling those companies are Republicans. You are someone who writes policy for those Republicans. You work at a Republican think tank. What are you doing? And so that brings us to this piece, of course. I'm a registered Republican who just watched her party spend much of the summer pushing through new cuts to Medicaid. I'm here to tell you why I'm an unlikely supporter of the program. My son's life depends on government assistance. Recent cuts to Medicaid at both the federal and state levels means millions of families like mine could soon be at a loss for how to care for our disabled loved ones. And it's just he ran on this. He ran on making his tax cuts permanent. You voted for him. Also, worth noting that a large amount of this article written in the New York Times is a repost of this. Down to the caring for David is a challenge that takes a village. And caring for David is holy work, but it takes a village. A lot of it is just a re-glossed over version of this original op-ed for this biblical truth outlet. The sloppy work happening now at some of these outlets is truly a sight to behold. The White House insists that the passage of President Trump's domestic policy bill won't affect programs like David's. I know better. North Carolina's CAP/C program is majority funded by federal dollars. States must now consider how to meet anticipated budget shortfalls when federal Medicaid cuts take effect over the next few years. Before the passage of the domestic policy law, when you paid your federal taxes, a fraction of your money helped support children like David through Medicaid. This ensured that their lives remained a communal responsibility and collective effort, reinforcing their value. That moral imperative has now disappeared. Children's lives are quite literally on the line. And it's like, lady, that you are a lifelong conservative. You and the people you have supported your entire life with your entire political advocacy all universally fell in line to screw over your kid. And you're still talking about being a proud conservative. Proud of what? What part of that are you proud of? As you watch, like, the money that allows your child to live dry up, what part of that are you proud of? Yet, even before the far-reaching impacts from the reduction of federal dollars will be felt, North Carolina state legislators have chosen not to fully fund our existing Medicaid program for the upcoming fiscal year. I wonder what party in North Carolina chose not to fund Medicaid. I wonder. What is left unsaid throughout this entire piece is infuriating. Absolutely infuriating. Resulting in a $319 million gap. These dollars can still be appropriated by the state legislature before October 1st. But if this funding need goes unmet, there will be real-world consequences for people like David and me and the rest of our Medicaid village. And it's just like, states cannot step in to fund Medicaid because of the reliance on federal dollars to fund Medicaid. There is just not a way for states predominantly. Some states might be able to pull it off, but most states can't do that with the resources they have locally in state. And she's, again, just like, oh, well, it's the state legislators, without mentioning who in the state legislature, it supports what exactly. I wonder. North Carolina's Medicaid program recently shared a variety of potential solutions that may be used to mitigate this funding loss. While CAP/C appears preserved for now, provider rates are set to be cut across the board by amounts ranging from 3% to 10%. And it's just like, one source estimates North Carolina will experience a $1.1 billion total reduction in Medicaid services. Let me be clear, North Carolina's Medicaid program is being voluntarily reduced. By whom, I wonder? By whom? One has to ask. Over and over and over again. Here, you know what? Let's just take a quick gander, shall we? Like, who in the state legislature is stopping funding of Medicaid? I wonder. Families like mine are struggling to make sense of this rapidly shifting landscape. Yeah, I bet families like yours are. Like, who could have predicted that the Republicans would cut the thing Republicans have been salivating about cutting for decades? Who could have predicted that? How we care for our most vulnerable reveals what we believe about ourselves. I'm just one mother, and David is just one child. But this affects your neighbors. This affects you. At one point or another, most of us will lose our independence, health, rationality, and will. Eventually, we will rely wholly on someone else to care for us. Dependence, weakness, and need of others, these are features, not bugs, of the human experience. And yet, you are a lifelong proud Republican. I just can't. I cannot deal with these people. It is infuriating to a degree that is incalculable. Just absolutely. It's faux populist. It's faux populist because it does not list the actual people, the actual actor behind this worsening. It's like, oh, well, as if like the government is just like a faceless entity we know nothing about. As if the state government in North Carolina, oh yeah, there's no possible way we could figure that out. As if the Republican Party hasn't publicly advertised what it's entirely about for decades. I'm a conservative. My disabled son needs Medicaid to live. I can't. What a terrible advocate. If this person cares at all for her child, what a terrible advocate. And it's really fucking sad because ultimately the actual person who suffers is that child. It's that child. It's every person who relies on Medicaid in order to exist and sustain themselves. And it's just so anger-inducing. So anger-inducing. This is not a both sides issue, and it never has been. The coverage on this is just infuriating. Yeah, other people are abusing the system, and that justifies the cuts, but, not to my program. Not to the program that my child benefits from. Just to those other programs that, are being abused. Also, just one last thing. Let's just take a look at the North Carolina House of Representatives. Oh, what's that? The Republican Party has 71 seats? Oh. Huh. I wonder who's stopping Medicaid from being funded. So crazy. Infuriating. So in a nutshell, I need and deserve these things, but you dirty peasants just abuse the system. You dirty peasants, and also the corrupt middlemen who are suckling on the teat of the government. The implied logic there is that the corrupt middlemen justify the cuts to Medicaid, but not to the program her family relies on for Medicaid. It is just unconscionable.
Riverboat Jack is coming to town. All the viewers gather round. Twitch and YouTube and swishy streams. All that content is bursting the seams. Politics, dating, plenty more. Your sense of fashion you'll adore. So grab your stuff